Okay, I think we're ready to start. I hope everybody agrees. I would like to welcome you all to this first webinar. You may know, and you may see already on the screen, that we're organizing a series of 8 webinars in the coming months. All the information can be found on our website. But of course, we'll start today with our first webinar. You might want to like to know what it's about. In a few minutes' time, you will be hearing people speak about the power of sharing best practices and innovative approaches to teacher professional development, effective use of assessment data, and helpful resources. We will also be discussing the secrets behind running a successful international projects. I would like to introduce myself first. I think that would be useful. My name is Lise Dunsbergen. I am a secondary school teacher in the Netherlands, and I am one of the teachers that is part of this project. In this project, there are schools involved from Denmark and Finland, as well as the Netherlands. There's an extensive group of people involved. Some of them are primary school teachers, and some of them are secondary school teachers. And we've been working together for the last 2.5 years on this project. And we're very eager to share what we've been doing with our audience. So let's get started. Before I'll introduce the presenters for today, I would like to go over a few rules for this webinar. We understand that during the presentation that you will be seeing that you might have some questions. We would like to ask you to write your questions in the chat. And during this presentation, we will be trying our best to answer all your questions in the chat. But we do realize that maybe some of the questions will not be able to be answered in the chat. So after presentation, and that will be around 4:45 to maybe 10 minutes to 5, there will be a Q&A session, and that will be the time to address everything that couldn't be covered in the chat. So at least then you know what's coming up. I would like to ask you to mute your mics so that everybody can hear the presenters clearly. And I would like to remind you that we will share all the resources, the brochures, the recordings, and all the materials. They will be uploaded on the website of this project. You might already know that how to find this website. If not, you can write down it's thewell.erasmus.eu. That's where all the information for these webinars can be found. Now, let's meet speakers for today. There will be 3 speakers today. The first one is Jasper Kok. He is from the Netherlands. He works as a managing director of a primary school board, and this board consists of 9 schools in the eastern part of the Netherlands. He holds an MA degree in educational leadership, has an educational advice company, and is the author of a multilingual, difficult word, portfolios, My Languages, and Meine Sprachen, which is German. So that is our first speaker. The second speaker is OZGEN BAGCI. OZGEN was originally trained as an English language teacher, but she currently works as an educational consultant, a teacher trainer, and an ETS authorized workshop facilitator for the TOEFL Young Student Series and the TOEIC program, mainly in Northern Europe. And then our last speaker for today is NALAN. And NALAN works for one of the primary schools here in the region in the Netherlands. It's called OPO Hof van Twente. And she works there as an internationalization coordinator and the head of the English department at the primary school. She also works as an educational consultant, a teacher trainer, and an ETS authorized workshop facilitator for the TOEFL project. And together, they are the writers and coordinators of the I Build It project, which is the name of the international project that we've been working on for the last 2.5 years. So I would like to hand over to our first speaker, which is Jasper Kok.
Thank you, Lisa, for the great introduction. Hello, everyone. You just met the speakers. I'm one of them. Clicking everywhere with the mouse, but that will be okay. We'll talk about the need for creating a project. Why will you spend so much of time in writing a great project? How to set it up, how to find partners, the objectives, and of course, explain to you a little bit more about the I Build It project. What is it and how do we work together? And then at the end, of course, we'll answer all your questions and we'll show you some preliminary results that we found out. And we're really curious about what you would like to know from us. Also, this is a first of a webinar series of 8, and there will be more detailed information in the upcoming webinars, for example, about education in Denmark or in Finland. These 3 countries belong to the world's happiest countries in the world. Actually, they're 3 out of the top 5 with a lot of points, according to really sophisticated research that has been done every year. And it says that it's mainly has to do with corruption, that there's a very few corruption and that living conditions are really nice. But actually, we found there is a similarity in every country. They're crazy about chocolate. And the bottom, in the top right, you see the Danish variation, then the Carl Fazer from Finland, and of course, chocolate sprinkles from the Netherlands. Not proven, but we suspect it has something to do with being the happiest countries in the world. But as we found out, the children and also some teachers are not always so happy while learning English. And that's also something that these 3 countries have in common. A lot can be improved. And for the project, when we started to write the project, we did an extensive needs analysis, and we'd love to share those, what came out. So did you know that there are schools that have in Finland, Denmark, and the Netherlands, no continuous learning path from primary to secondary, and that there are large proficiency gaps in the classes. And it is the higher you come, the gaps get bigger. And these proficiency gaps are met with very little differentiation within the English classes. And that leads to children getting disinterest or don't behave that well in front of the teacher. Also, kids ask frequently, what can I do with the English? Well, of course, communicate with other people from other countries. That's the most easy part. But when are they doing this? During school. So the need of a practical application for English is really high. Several classroom teachers in the Netherlands, that is the situation, and also in Finland and in Denmark, there are more English subject teachers. But the classroom teachers who are teaching English at primary level, several of them have a need for more background knowledge about the English language teaching. Now, what is also difficult to find in all 3 countries was a valid or reliable tool to measure the progress of the students, and a need for formative assessment, not only assessments at the end, but a formative assessment so that we can integrate data and into teaching and the learning process. So we have more written about this in the project application, but that's quite a few pages. So this is a nice summary for you, we thought. So what was really important from the start of this project, and also talking with the schools in Denmark, Finland, and the Netherlands, is that learning should start with the student. If you see here a nice spiral based on the Fibonacci sequence, the child with the balloon should be in the middle of education. And then, of course, education is a cyclical process. You learn something about a certain topic that will come back to you in more difficult and more intense forms. And basically, as teachers, we prepare the kid in a cyclical way to be ready to find their place in the world. At the same time, the teachers bring the world into the classroom, and that can be done through internationalization in a fantastic way. So there's a two-way streak here. Teachers filter what kids should learn from the world, the big issues, the big topics, and of course, we prepare the child to be ready to find their place in the world and hopefully have a really happy life. English, internationalization, international contact are really important in that process. And we should start to look what does the child need? And in order to do so, we need to see where are you as a kid with English, for example. So we created a KA2 project. It's called I Build It. And here in the slides are many links. These slides will be published on the website, so then you can click on all the links and find all the information that you need. This was a 2-year project written and set up in the COVID-19 era, I can say, the 2 years. And it has to be flexible as well. So the whole project has been designed to be done online as well. But we discovered that meeting each other physically from the different countries has a big gain, knowing each other and really having a meal together. So the aim was mainly focused on professional development of teachers, learn from each other, but also with each other from many expert exchange theory and try out things, of course, in ELT. And what is really important to mention is that after a long search, we found the TOEFL Young Student Series. They offer a range of assessments, fantastic for assessing English language teaching. You get the best individual results that really can help you design your teaching in the classroom. And we use that as a foundation. Of course, links are on this page. So then we need to ignite ELT and do it in a different way. So here's a summary, the movie script of the K2 project. The primary and secondary schools, they joined forces from the 3 countries to change the ways we think about assessments. And especially a lot of discussions have been going on. Where should we place assessments when it comes down to designing and setting up education that fits the needs of each individual child more? What's the role of assessing in education? Should it be at the end? Should there be a set goal, a fixed goal at the end that all the children need to achieve? Because if that's the case, what do we do with children who already have reached that goal in the beginning of the school year? And what do we do with children who have such a low level at the beginning of the school year that they will never reach that end goal? They might be discouraged, and the kids who are already there, they don't need to do that much in class. So there was a real need to match the education and the English language learning environment with the needs of the children. So what we've been working on is a lot of innovation to find impactful and powerful solutions. And these solutions, they can vary. So the situations in the classrooms in Denmark, Finland, and the Netherlands are not the same. So we can find different solutions who match with the vision and organization of the schools. They can match the needs of the teachers, they can match the needs of the children. And it depends all the time on what is your situation and what are your possibilities, what are your options, how many hours of English do you teach, what are the goals from the curriculum, for example. So we're finding these solutions to, in the end, successfully integrate this assessment-driven and also research-based English language teaching method. The whole project is supported by researchers from the USA, from Princeton, ETS, the municipalities, and some other partners. But I'll get back to that later. The objectives. What was really important is how can we boost learners' self-efficacy and motivation through differentiation? Is it true that if we match the learning environment more to the individual needs of the children, that their learning goes faster, that they like it more, that they have more fun in English, and maybe even that their results will go up? How can we create a positive and meaningful path for each learner? And really important, to encourage teachers to experiment, because in many occasions there is a fixed curriculum and they have been working in a certain way for many years. And then how can we encourage them to experiment with a more open or even a more digital English classroom? And is it possible, and how can we make each child's learning progress visible? The last objective was what materials and how can we organize our classroom to enable teachers to organize the English teaching in a more, maybe even more personalized learning environment. And personalization is a bit of a difficult and a tricky term, might not be achievable, but individualizing English language teaching is possible. And let's just start with implementing more differentiation within the English classroom on all levels. So some of you, I don't know if everybody heard of Erasmus Key Actions, in abbreviation it's KA, but it's a series of EU grant programs. And there are 3, even 4, but 3 that might be interesting for primary and secondary education. You got the KA1, which is for mobility for teachers and students. This is a K2 project, therefore the purple. And this is a project, it's called a strategic partnership. And you'll be working with a fixed group of schools for 2 to 3 years. And then there's K3, basically written and applied for by higher education or universities, but primary and secondary schools can be partners in these projects. If you need more information about how this works, the English translation of the Dutch website will provide you with great information and wonderful links also to the EU sites. So K2, this is a project. You work together with a strategic partnership, like I said, with a fixed group of schools, and you work on innovation or good practices. So with innovation, you develop new ways of working or teaching, learning, and or good practices. You learn from and with each other from every good example that you have in your organizations. I really would like to emphasize that it's excellent for professionalization of teachers. Nothing more fun than to become a better teacher and learn from other countries, good and bad examples. In a K2, you can include all kinds of things. For example, job shadowing opportunities, school visits, learn from experts in the field, a set of projects between classes, and there you have it. That's your practical application for English. Training weeks on certain topics, and of course, cultural visits, good dinners, and great talks in the cafe belong to the possibilities. So if you have a K2, what will it bring to you? Well, of course, you can improve knowledge, ways of teaching of teachers, you can learn from it. You can learn and develop your skills, and you do that within an international context. You get a great professional network, and of course, you have to apply your English or other foreign languages within the international project. You show what you can do, you share what you have in order to become better teachers, and from that, the children will profit, of course. But you have to deliver as well. You have to develop a product or a database or a website. These things are called intellectual outputs, but they can be as simple as a poster presentation to really sophisticated digital databases or websites that can inspire teachers all over Europe. And with innovative projects, you have to deliver these intellectual outputs. And in this project, we got 6. And if you're ever going to write a K2, 6 is a bit too much. So that's for us is lesson learned number 1, but we'll manage. So one of the teachers from primary education in a feedback form gave a great quote, because of course, working in education and learning about education is fantastic, but you're also together with a group of people that you've never seen before. And all of a sudden you need go and work together. And the chemistry that starts in a group like this is fantastic to see. So this teacher said, I like the people. I feel that there's always a boost for teaching after we share our thoughts. I also think that we already have learned a lot, even though there's still work to be done. And the last sentence, I think, is always true when you work in education. So here's a slide about the budget. I will not go into great detail about this, but for a K2, there's around 300,000 euro available for various things. If you ever set up a project, K2 or a different one, it's important when you are looking for partners to invest in long-term cooperation. Know them before the start. With this project, we paid visits to our potential project partners, had a talk and a sit down with them, and of course a dinner to talk about the expectations and the thing that will happen during the project, and if they're ready and they really like it. And that is a bit of an investment, but it's really worthwhile. You get great partners and working within the project goes more smoothly. With this project, you can also add what is so-called associated partners. These are partnering organizations who have a special interest or can contribute in any way possible. Maybe with knowledge, maybe with the sponsorship, maybe they want to learn, maybe they want to perform research. They get no funding from the project money directly. That's only from the partners. But there is a way to get some extra money, because with the K2, sponsorships are possible, for example, from educational companies or the third-party organization. What you have to offer with K2 is that there's loads of PR, because you have to do a lot on PR and disseminate your project. And the contribution from a sponsorship can be in money, but also manpower. And for example, within this project, there's a research team from ETS and Princeton Connected performing research on English language teaching, and for example, the transition from primary to secondary education. So, like we said, we will deliver some products from the project, intellectual outputs. There are 6. Maybe if you ever start with 3 or 2, that's a good idea, I think. But we got 6, and we will publish a book about the learning journey of all the schools participating in the project. And it's a lot of fun to write it, because there are 6 different learning journeys, because every school is situated in a different location, uses different materials, has a different vision on education, and all come up with wonderful ways of teaching English. Well, you're part of the intellectual output number 2 as we speak. This is the first of the webinar series. And there will also a video series of all the innovations that have been happening in the schools in the last 2 years. There also, with the research team, there will be 3 research publications. So the topics will be: how do students' speaking and writing abilities develop over time? How do students perceive the move from English in primary school to English in secondary school? And that's a big issue in all countries. In some situations, the students with a high level of English have to start all over again when they enter secondary education. And how teachers use assessments to inform and adjust their teaching. And the third one has led to many discussions about the place of assessments within education. Also, we will host some conferences, some multiplier events, and they will be held in 2023. It's not here, but 2023, January 27 in Finland, Denmark, and 1 in the Netherlands. So how have we chosen to work? Well, of course, if you want to work on professionalizing teachers, you need to organize a learning and teaching situation. So we organize within the project 6 or 7 teacher training weeks. And in the teacher training week, all the teachers participating in the project, they come together and they do job shadowing activities. They go to a school and join a teacher in the Netherlands and see how they teach, or maybe even give a lesson themselves. Then we have 2 professional learning groups. One is the PLG, and in this PLG, teachers from the same age group work together, design projects with the children, and learn and watch the teaching. They give each other feedback. And Also, in between the teacher training week, they meet once every month in an online meeting to continue to ask and observe each other. Then there is the CLPG, Continuous Learning Path Group. And these are teachers from primary and secondary school from one country. And that's a fantastic thing because they try to get the curricula and the way of working of primary and secondary more in sync. Experts from various fields related to ELT come to the teacher training week and they let us know. They inform the teachers about their view, our vision on education, English language education, of course, and tell about all the possibilities there are or great activities that you can do with the children. Heads of education from the municipalities, they come and visit, and there's a lot of time to give each other feedback and feed forward in order to become better professionals. Then there's a group, it's so-called steering group. It joins online every first of the month to discuss the progress of the project. So being in a teacher training week has challenged on English teaching, not on why I have to teach English, but in what way I teach it. It has given her ideas and tools to develop it. So what are the results? Well, there are many, but most of them are still preliminary, but it pays off in a big way. So teachers from the surveys said that they've learned a lot from experts in the teacher training week sessions. There were experts on many things, on using a portfolio, on improving writing, on activities that you can use, on ICT materials and equipment that you can use in the class, how to use it in the most effective way. And then every teacher has the possibility to select what they think fits their classroom or the needs of the student and starts to work. With that, try it out, talks about it with the colleagues, and then see if it works and if it's something that can stay and improves quality. We talked a lot and we had a lot of discussion and we learned a lot about the perspective, innovation, and use of assessments. So the old-fashioned way was to teach the children a book chapter of English for about 6 weeks. And then at the end, they get a test and we assess if everything that we put in the child can come out. So during the last 2 years, we see a shifting perspective in this. We have started, and the teachers and schools have started using assessments at the beginning of learning, because good teaching starts from where the students are. We have to know what they can do, and we have to, if we know that, then we can design the English classroom, then we can differentiate, then we can try out learning groups, then we can try out electronic learning environments. We can do many things, especially with digital technologies, to match the needs of each individual child within the English classroom. And not necessarily will that lead to more work for the teachers. As I said, the place of testing within the curriculum is a big one, and it also leads to discussions for other subjects. And in this project, we tried out doing the assessment before teaching starts, and that has led to fantastic achievements of the children. Because if you know that what your level is, and the teacher knows, and you see that the learning environment is adjusted to your needs, then learning becomes more fun. You know that you don't need to reach an objective that is impossible for you to reach, but you can be successful because the focus is not on reaching a set end goal anymore. It's on obtaining as much learning gain while you're in the class. And if you reach that end goal or go over it or never reach it, it's not important anymore. You have to, as an individual, learn as much as you can and try really hard to do so. And if you manage that, then you'll be successful and you learn a lot, and learning becomes fun. I must say, this is also the case for the teachers, because they have a class in front of them who are almost all motivated to learn English. And that's the big gain where you adjust your teaching to the individual needs of children. So what has happened more? Projects have been created among classes. Teachers have organized training sessions for colleagues to tell about their best practices. We have made a selection of digital materials and practical activities. And these things here have all links to the website, where a whole table is filled with all these ideas and digital materials. And I really invite everyone to click on the links and browse through it, because I'm sure there's something in it for everyone. Blog writing has been done, also posted on the website. We're hosting webinars as we speak. And many of us are organizing and joining conferences as speakers to share these wonderful findings and this way of working together with as many people as we can. So as I said, it has been exciting to see how opening up the world to the students, by getting the students to work together, has motivated them. It's definitely something I'll do again. And Les is talking about practical application and working together with another class. And doing that boosted the English development of the kids.